half a day, and welcome to Coffee with the Candidates. This series was created to educate and inform Guam's voting population on the positions candidates running for office take on some of the island's most controversial topics. Continuing with the gubernatorial episodes, the Democratic team of Rodriguez and Cruz will be featured. Stay tuned to find out what the candidates have to say.
Half a day and welcome to Coffee with the Candidates. I'm your host, Janella Carrera, and joining me today is Lieutenant Colonel David Cruz. He is the running mate of Senator Dennis Rodriguez in the bid for Adelup. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Janella. Half a day, everybody.
All right, and let's get started. So we're going to start with some icebreaker questions, just to kind of get to know that side of you, you know, the fun side of you. Do you watch any Hulu or Netflix?
I do. I got all the accounts, believe it or not.
Great, great. What are?
I love Amazon.
What kind of shows would we find?
I like documentaries. I like stuff on space because I teach a space course. I used to teach, you know, when
space
I was
course.
at Rossi,
Wow.
Yeah, so everything about the universe and space, you know, and Mars, things like that. That's one of my favorites.
Okay. What about at you know, a fiesta? If you were to put food on your, what kind of food, chamorro food, would we find on your plate?
I love fish, kelaguen, and salad. That's what I've kind of been on for the last few months.
Is this like a diet thing?
Yeah, I kind of slimmed down, you know, because the doctors say you got to watch your blood pressure and your cholesterol and all that. So.
I see. Okay, and in terms of music, what kind of music do you like to listen to?
You know, I like to go back to 60s and 70s where I originally came from. So we're talking Beatles and Elvis Presley, and but you know, I like a lot of soft music also. I still like the pop music nowadays, but you know, I can relate more to the music back in my days.
Back in your day, yeah. Okay, and then what about
creative groups back in those days? Everybody could sing, dance, and play, you know, their own instruments. So.
Do you dance? Did you, you know, or was it something that you did back then?
I can do the. What's that one where they shuffle and get together all that group? Electric Slide.
Electric Slide. That doesn't count. Everyone can do that.
A little bit of jitterbug, you know, a little bit of cha-cha and things like that.
All right, sounds good. And for free time, now that you obviously have free time on your hands, what do you do besides campaigning?
You know, I love staying home with my wife, and then my grandkids come over. I love spending time with them. Occasionally, I like to go out and work out at the gym. I still, you know, want to stay fit. You know, that's a good release for me. Or watch a movie occasionally. Okay, all right. I love a lot of the Transformer movies and sci-fi stuff, you know, so I'm a big sci-fi fan.
That will never go away. All right, well, it's time for some of the more serious questions.
Sure.
And you are running for the second highest office of Guam. Our first question, you know, the vulnerable people of our island, you know, the drug addicts, the homeless. I know that was something on the campaign platform, was to address drug addiction.
Absolutely.
How would you ensure that we have facilities to support these programs and for these people?
Well, you know, my running mate, Dennis Rodriguez, has talked about, you know, using government housing as an option for a treatment center. So, you know, that's on the table. We can also work with a lot of nonprofits to identify a lot of these facilities. There's tons of nonprofits out there. You got the Ali Shelter, you got New Beginnings at the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. You know, they got a great program that goes on for outpatient care. So work with the nonprofits, Guam Behavioral Wellness Center. You know, another thing we need to look at is our federal partners here on the island. They got all this vacant land and buildings up there in Andy South. Why can't we use that for homeless and maybe the homeless vets? When I was in LA, I looked at the vet center over there. Prime land in the middle of UCLA and Santa Monica was used for homeless vets, federal land. So
it was federal land?
It was federal land. They gave it for the, you know, portion of that, and some of the old facilities there strictly for the homeless vets. And we owe it to the vets. You know, they served their time.
Right. And as a vet yourself, you're familiar
absolutely.
with those issues?
And we can also work with some other developers. Like I know Carlos Camacho, he's married to my first cousin. He's done affordable housing. Why can't we do something like that for senior citizens and even the veterans? You know, they had these villages back in the States, like in San Antonio, like the Air Force Village. Exactly, where you complete care, recreational facilities, even medical care they can get. We could start something like that and also spur the economy up, you know, with healthcare and developments.
Right. What about the seal of Guam? How would you ensure
we just got to make sure that's used properly. Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of like the short end of the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
To
kind of
seal
make sure
them
it's used properly and
Right.
not abused.
Now, there are some leakages in Guam State Clearinghouse. How would you prevent leakages there and never ever miss another worthwhile grant funding opportunity?
Yeah, the state clearinghouse, boy, they handle close to, I think I was reading that in the paper the other day, more than $500 million in federal funds and grants and loans.
Yeah.
Part of it, when I was in the National Guard, when I was a U.S. Property and Fiscal Officer, I was also a grants officer, so I had
Okay.
oversight of all the grants coming into the Guard. So, I know how to manage and track federal dollars. So that's something you just got to constantly be on top of. You got to do constant audits, constant reports, because they want reports. Feds, you got to have complete visibility of how you're spending the money and tracking it. And plus, you got to execute it, make sure it's used for the right purpose. So.
This would be a really great fit for you, being
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
have experience.
Yeah, since Lieutenant Governor is in charge and
Right.
the director of the state clearinghouse, so I can easily transition into that role and manage that program.
Okay. And which of your unique strengths do you think will make you the perfect governor's right arm?
Like I said, easily managed. I manage federal funds. That's one of the things I used to do. I was a comptroller. And also the fact that I was in the National Guard for 27 years. I can advise my running mate on the use of the National Guard for disasters and easily step in when he's not on island as the acting commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
The governor is commander-in-chief of the National Guard, so
Right.
and they have both a federal mission and a state mission, so I'm completely familiar with all the rules for that.
Speaking of disasters, we just had one
Yeah.
hit us, a few days ago. How do you think you would handle, a tropical storm and in the face of, the shortages that we have going on in our economy?
The Homeland Defense is doing a great job right now with informing everybody, when the storm is approaching. They work closely with the National Weather Service. So, their alerts and everything are great. We get constant preparation, I notice it, when a storm is approaching.
Right.
And of course, everybody in Guam is used to preparing for typhoons and storms, so it's not a big deal. It's the other stuff that we need to prepare for.
Right.
Stuff that's no notice, like earthquakes or tsunamis.
Right. And then my next question is, interesting one. How will you encourage the inclusion of more fruits and vegetables into residents' diets, the introduction of regular exercise, and the elimination of habits that are harmful to health? Speaking of, trying to stay on top of your health.
Yeah. More recreation facilities in all the villages, work with the village mayors, give them the money and resources to upgrade all their recreation facilities. I'm a member of the Guam Masters Basketball Association. I've been playing with them since the 80s, and we compete off island. We compete every week, 3 times a week up in the Canyon Heights. So we're playing constantly. We got guys in the 70s and 80s that are still competing and playing.
Wow.
So recreational facilities, constant upkeep and maintenance, work with the mayors on that, give them the resources, the money to maintain the facilities. Fruits and vegetables, I know that's a real challenge because it's very expensive to stay healthy, right?
It is.
So let's encourage people to grow their own stuff, grow their own food. Backyard farming that's on our platform, community farming. Maybe that will help out doing farmers co-op and fish co-ops in every village. That's also on our
and
platform.
you can help start an industry that's sorely
absolutely.
lacking.
And reliance, we import everything into the islands. So that's what drives the cost of living up, so all the imports into the islands. Let's create a third-legged industry, exports. Maybe we can export stuff we can make. Like Hawaii, they got Hawaiian chips, macadamia nuts. They got a great industry along with the tourist business. So we need to create that four-legged industry.
Okay. I'm going to throw you a couple curveball
Sure.
questions. I know that your background in education is something that, your campaign that touts so much. But being that you have no political experience, I'm sure that's something that is very challenging for your campaign, and many have doubted your abilities because of your lack of political experience. But what do you think makes you that unique candidate, or what do you have to bring to the table that's different from what others may
Well, I think I've got over 33 years in the military. I think that leadership and administrative skill that's crucial. You can step in and manage the day-to-day operations that go on. And that's exactly what dentists is going to do. Instead of beautification, I mean, I can do really important stuff. Not to say beautification is not important, but we're going to have to right-size this government, you know, consolidate. And again, that's in our pillars. You know, get the 52 agencies down to 9. I can manage all of that, and I've got the leadership skills to do that. You know, at this executive level, it's about leadership. It's not about whether you have enough political experience. If you've got the leadership skills, you can make it happen.
Why have you decided to, why did you heed the call to run for this office?
Well, you know, sometimes you always got to reinvent yourself. You got to try something different. I mean, you got to experience everything in life. Plus, it's a calling. You know, I was in the military for 33 years. I answered that call. I did ROTC for almost 10 years. You know, I've done great. Those kids have done amazing things in junior ROTC. And now it's time to get back to the island and make a difference also.
Okay. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Lieutenant Colonel Cruz, and we wish you the best of luck.
Colonel now.
Oh, I'm so sorry. There you go. Colonel now. I stand corrected. Colonel Cruz.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck in your campaign. All right, we'll stay right there. When we come back, we'll have Senator Dennis Rodriguez running for Governor of Guam. Hafide, and welcome back to Coffee with the Candidates. I'm Janella Carrera, and as promised, we have Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. joining us on the second segment of this episode. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, Senator.
Thank you very much, Hafide and Mabuhay.
So you're running for the highest office of the land, Governor of Guam.
Yes.
Before I get to the serious questions, I kind of want to get the icebreaker questions out of the way. I asked your running mate these questions as well. I'm assuming you do watch Hulu, Netflix.
Yes.
You're young like that.
Yes, definitely. I got kids all around that always watch it.
Okay. So what are some of the shows that we would we could see on your list?
When they're not on the TV and I have some time before I go to sleep, it's Love Your Garden.
Oh.
I don't know if you ever watched it, but it's a team of people in the UK that go around and help people with their gardens and help set up their gardens or finish their gardens. So it's very interesting.
I've seen you post some pictures of you doing some like backyard gardening and planting of your own vegetables and stuff like that. Is that where you got the inspiration?
Absolutely, it's a stress reliever. It's also inspired us to put it in our platform, where really it's going to help people turn their backyards into their own farms.
Okay.
Right. So interesting.
All right. And so then, how about at the fiesta? What kind of chamorro food would we see on your plate? I mean, I know you're Filipino, but I'm sure you love chamorro food too.
I do. I love the hoki clam kelaguen or the shrimp kelaguen. And sometimes what is always there is the chicken kelaguen.
Yes,
right? So,
yes, everybody loves chicken kelaguen. What about in terms of music? What kind of music do you listen to?
At home when it's downtime, a lot of Christian gospel music. Or I get my boys to come in front of me and start playing reggae music.
Oh.
One plays the ukulele and guitar. The younger one thinks he can play guitar, so he just plays it.
Yeah, but they all sound good, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wow, so your kids can play music, reggae music.
Reggae music, yes.
Oh, that's very interesting. For your free time, when you do have, when you're not, at your office being a senator or not campaigning, what do you do?
We love to hang out. Just hang out. Go to the beach or just hang out with the kids at home.
Okay. So now it's time for some of the more serious questions. The first question we have for you is, in the last 8 years, what do you think the Cowboy Administration has done right or has done wrong?
I believe in their first term when the governor took on the task of paying past due obligations, right? The tax refund. Getting that up to speed, even prior to the court case, getting people in the government their merit bonuses paid, just a past obligation. I thought that was action that should be commended, because these are things that were happening for many years and weren't just being pursued and fulfilled. So those are the things that I appreciate.
What about things that they have done wrong, in your opinion?
I hate to judge, right? But some of the things where people say that the transparency is not there in getting access to information. Nobody should need to file a FOIA request. You should be able to go to a department or go online and get the information you need. And so I saw that, especially in the second term, that was kind of the challenges that people had.
Okay. What about any of the policies or the accomplishments of this current administration? Any of them that you would undo, or any of them that you would continue to administer and ensure that it goes on?
Yeah. Well, just again, I think the prioritization of paying tax refunds, is something we need to ensure that continues. Regardless of any court order, these are the people's money, and so we need to ensure that continues. Some of the things we would undo, just being open and transparent. If that's not happening, by the time we become governor, lieutenant governor, we'll ensure that there is a full 180 on that.
Okay. Now, if elected, the military buildup would really begin, the actual buildup itself would really begin under your first term in office. How would you make sure that Guam's environment is protected and that our people are benefiting and not hurting from this major milestone?
Yeah. At this point in stage, right, of the whole initiative for the military buildup, a lot of the concerns have been aired. A lot of the mitigation have been taken into consideration. And as Governor of Guam, want to ensure that that we follow that. We ensure that the plan, we stick to the plan, and that if there's anything that needs to be protected, environment or our people, that we're in the forefront of that.
Okay. Now, you're running as a Democrat, and if you're elected to become governor, and the majority at the legislature is the opposite party, how would you try to work, with them and negotiate with them across, party lines?
I've always been the type that has worked with anyone regardless. I even get chastised, criticized, even bashed by my own party.
Yes.
Because, they feel that perhaps I was too close, too accommodating to a Republican governor or to a Republican minority in the legislature. But it really isn't about that. When you take that oath of office, you raise your right hand and you take that oath, you serve Democrats, Republicans, Independents. And that's the way I'll continue to be as governor, is that party is not going to be an issue.
Okay. Earlier you mentioned, you talked about tax refunds, and that's something that you would continue to ensure happens on time if you're elected. How would you do that? How would you ensure that tax refunds are being paid on time? Well,
we're going to have a smaller operation of government. We're going to have a smaller government. We're going to use technology to our benefit. And we're going to be very frugal. Dave and I have committed that even in the governor's office, we're going to have a smaller staff. No staff is going to make more than the Lieutenant Governor of Guam. And so, that's how you're going to become efficient, is how you operate the government of Guam. And by doing that, you can prioritize things that need to be prioritized, like the payment of tax refunds, healthcare, and all the other aspects of government.
Okay. And now I'm sure you're very familiar with this because you're currently a sitting senator. Government corruption, and in fact I know you've talked about that when you introduced your platform already. But if you can maybe just go over how you would fight government corruption.
Well, Dave and I, our administration, we're going to establish the Office of Inspector General. We're going to have an independent individual that's well qualified, perhaps a retired judge, someone from ex-military service member, and we're going to get the legislature to confirm and consent to this individual that we place there, who would be in charge of this office and be able to address anything that comes its way, any allegations of corruption, mismanagement, fraud, and abuse. This office is going to work hand in hand with a special prosecutor that we would appoint to go after the corrupt and bring the corrupt to justice.
Okay. Now, going from white collar type crime and to the community type crimes that we've been seeing, especially with the sexual abuse of our children, I'm sure you're aware and you pay attention to the news that it's on the rise, especially for our youth. What would you do to ensure that these offenders, especially the ones who are convicted, don't reoffend?
Yeah. It's I thought about that, and it's very hard because this is a illness, a sickness, not like someone who's perhaps addicted to drugs. You can rehabilitate that person, right? I think as a community, what we need to do is provide more education to our community and let them know that it's okay to speak up. It's okay when you see something wrong, when something is done to you that's wrong, you need to speak up and get someone to know what's happening, so that you can avoid any further actions by a predator, right? And so that's what we need to do to ensure that the community is aware, and the kids especially, who become victims of this, unfortunately, know that it's okay to speak up.
Okay, and so this next question I'm going to ask you, I know you're very familiar with. It's been part of your committee for the last 8 years. But in terms of GMH, what would you do? What kind of solution would you propose as governor to try to get them out of their situation where they're always in debt, they're always financially crippled?
Yeah, I'm going to implement the law that I passed now, which is to expand health insurance for Guam, for people that don't have health insurance, and that's how we're going to address GMH. A lot of times, past leaders, all they do is say they're going to bring GMH into a line agency of the government, or they're going to put more money in. That's putting the blinders. We got to take off the blinders and look at GMH not just as one hospital, but as part of a healthcare system. And so the way we do that is you get people who have health insurance, get them healthier, so that the hospital is the last resort. Right now, it's a first resort for a lot of people that don't have access to primary care. And so that's the root of the problem. And that's where we're going to be able to really address the hospital challenges, because no business model, and you hear this from people, no business model will ever survive with what they have.
Right.
If they have to treat people that come in and can't pay for their services. So it's going to be that cycle you go over and over again. So what you do now is you get people access to health insurance, so that the hospital is a last resort for them.
I know that in previous years you've mentioned the possible exploration of a public-private partnership. Is that still something that you would want to look into?
Absolutely. So you have that aspect of getting people insured, but the management and the operations now, we need to pursue a public-private partnership. The government, if 40 years is not enough to tell you that we can't run a hospital efficiently, then I don't know, what is going to tell us that. But the government's involvement should be ensuring that the quality of care is provided, that there's access to people who can't afford it. But the people that perhaps that could do this better are the doctors, the private sector, right? We have great people at the hospital, nurses and housekeeping, personnel people. We just don't operate it, the way we should be.
Right.
So I've passed a law that required them to go out, the administration to go out to do an RFI for a public-private partnership. We got good responses back from big organizations. Other organizations have said that they may be interested if an actual RFP comes out. And so our administration is going to pursue that, because the only way is to stop doing the things we've been doing over and over again. So getting people insurance and getting a hospital into some sort of public-private partnership is what we're going to pursue.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Senator, and we wish you the best of luck in your campaign.
Thank you.
I want to thank Colonel Dave Cruz. Earlier in the segment, or in the show, he was our first guest, and of course, Senator Rodriguez. We wish both the best of luck. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.